The Connaught Competition Engines Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship moved from west to east for a further 2 rounds over the weekend of the 12th and 13th of May. The Motor Enthusiasts Club used a venue near Knoll in North County Dublin for the event. If County Clare had been Sylvie Mullins' home ground, this certainly was Simon McKinley's home event. Any drivers that might have missed the final corner could literally have ended up in Simon and Deirdre's doorstep, as indeed some drivers nearly did. Unsurprisingly, McKinley was fastest out of the traps with a 38.31. It only took Sylvie until run 3 to beat this time, but unfortunately for him, Simon is a moving target, and he was by then setting times over a second faster still, his best being on run 2. Mullins had a huge tank slapper on the final run, which lifted the rear of the car over a foot off the ground, and he backed off for the rest of the run, convinced he'd done damage. Paul O'Connell finally appears to have solved his electrical problems, but a failed third gear prevented him from mounting a serious challenge to the top 2. A strong entry from club members in the historic class boosted a weak entry for this challenging hill within just half an hour of our nation's capital. Noel Kavanagh won their class on handicap both days in his MGB Roadster. It was a delight to see Angela Anglia back after its absence from Clare. Jerry Freeman scored a second and a third behind the wheel. Vinnie O'Reilly flipped that result in the AH Sprite, third and second over the weekend. Sean Murray steered a steady course with 2 fourth places in the Lotus and moved up to second in the class championship behind an absent Barry Smith. A pair of 5 places was enough for Bernard Foley to maintain third place, displacing another absentee, Mick O'Shea, who was unfortunate to be spending a weekend in Monaco instead of Knoll. Alan Kessie scored 5 points each day and maintains 5th in the championship, driving a Porsche this weekend. Wolfgang Schnarr was one of the fastest of these cars, but on handicap was 7th each day. Frank Nuttall chased them home on Saturday in his Graham, but unfortunately suffered brake problems and helped out marshalling on Sunday. It was an all-V affair in Class 5 this weekend. Former Hillclimb Committee Chairman Eugene French was fastest on Saturday. Gerard O'Connor, back in his own car, was second, and one of the event's organisers, Scott Milligan, was third. Eugene was missing on Sunday, so Scott achieved second, and Gerard, who gives us this insight to the pace of the introductory single-seater class, was fastest on the day and moved up to equal first in the class championship with French. Joe Courtney continued his stellar overall performances in the Hornet, 4th both days and winner of Class 6. John Byrne, the Jedi, was just behind him in both the class and overall on Saturday, but a hard charge on Sunday ended up beside a tree, but fortunately John was unharmed. This allowed John Mahon up to 2nd in the class. He'd been 3rd on the first day. The competition between Elaine O'Reilly and Trish Daly has taken them to the top of their class. Elaine found her pace almost immediately. Trish closed a 2.5 second deficit at the start to just over half a second on Saturday. Senan O'Connor was 3rd in the Sol Cinquecento and won his first trophy in 10 years. Elaine continued at a similar pace on Sunday, and this time Trish got it down to just 0.12 of a second. Again, Declan Condon was a solo runner in Class 2 with his escort, but just as in Clare, he and Dennis Hogan in the Class 3B BMW had their own private contest for fastest front-engine rear-wheel drive saloon. Dennis supplied us with this in-car footage. Listen to this. They swapped positions on both days, but in the end it went to the nifty escort on both occasions by the smallest of margins. Ian Quinn, another solo runner in 3A, was quicker than either of them on Saturday in the Mini Busa and split the two of them on Sunday, winning his class like Declan. Éanna Carroll continues to raise the bar for what a front-wheel drive car can achieve, both metaphorically and physically, in terms of boost in the Turbo Civic. 10th overall and 2nd in Class 3B was his result. Neil Anderson pushed Rory Stevens all weekend with his Ward WD9V for Class 3B honours, but Rory came out on top both days in his Turbo Radical. Their battle took them as high as 5th and 6th on Sunday, the pressure showing for Rory on the final run. Alex Wilsden was 5th in his Indy R. Deirdre Delaney debuted her new car at the Knoll. Racing towards her home each day must have helped to overcome any lack of familiarity with the freshly prepared Opel Lotus and the switch to the big Class 7. Dermot Nolan was 5th in the class each day in the Connaught MP873. Once again, Dermot was generous enough to share his car, this time with former championship competitor Russell Stanworth, who survived this moment on Saturday and gave Dermot quite a run for his money on Sunday. Brendan Keane made a welcome return to the championship in the Swallow DR14 with a brace of 4th places in class and 6th and 7th overall. Paul O'Connell was 3rd again on Sunday, persevering with those gearbox problems. Sylvie started Sunday on much the same pace as Saturday, but then had trouble with a sticking throttle cable. He was run 4 before he got out again. He went faster, but was still just over a second behind McKinley. McKinley's winning time and fastest of the weekend by 400th came on the first run on Sunday, as he too had gearbox problems and had to park up the land. He then took over his Fiat for the afternoon to set a benchmark for the Cento drivers of 54.92. Aidan Courtney got closest with 55.32 and 3rd in Class 1 for the day. Senan O'Connor, before going filming, got down to 56.65 after a last-ditch effort on the final corner, almost ended in McKinley's garden on run 3. I'd like to wish all the lads heading to France bon voyage et bonne chance, and hope to see all the rest of you in Carlo. Au revoir.